Boy, you were going to meet a lot of former teammates and probably some guys that you didn't meet as ex-Oilers. I mean, what are you most looking forward to over the next couple of days here?
It's going to be a chance to see a lot of old friends. I think more than anything, that's going to be the fun part. I mean, I've seen a lot of the guys over the years at different events, different things, but there's always a few guys you miss, so it's going to be fun to catch up with them and spend some time just hanging out with them again.
You made an interesting point. This experience of seeing a new facility being built in Edmonton actually isn't new for you. I mean, you were pretty young when the transition was made from the Guards to the Coliseum. I mean, what do you remember, though, about when the Coliseum was built? Do you remember a first time being in it or attending a game as a teenager or anything like that?
The first game I saw, I think it was back for Christmas break from Victoria. So I got a chance to see a game in there. But I saw a lot of games in the old gardens. I mean, they were in the WHA. Jacques Plante was still here. I think they played Calgary one night. They had Smokey McLeod in the other end. So I remember a lot of those games. And then I remember I saw an exhibition game between Vancouver and Minnesota in the Coliseum. It was one of the first NHL games in there. And I remember seeing that because Gump Worsley played for Minnesota. So it's going back a little ways. But it was a great building to sit and watch a hockey game in.
So do you remember your first game at what was then Northlands Coliseum, or did you have that moment maybe looking around and thinking, man, I used to be up in those seats and now people are sitting there watching me? Did you ever have that moment?
Oh, you're a little too nervous to have that moment. I mean, I think my first game was against Winnipeg. It was our first league game. And you just want to play well. That's the mad panic. So you don't really even enjoy the moment. You're just worried about performing well. And I think we lost 3-2 in an empty net goal. So it's one of those moments that afterwards you look and you figured, well, okay, I've made it. I've played the National Hockey League and I've played at home. You're pretty happy about that.
What was the biggest home ice advantage at Northlands? I mean, every team says, well, we're better at home. We got to play well at home. But what actually was the home ice advantage for you guys in that era?
Well, I think a lot of it was we had last change. I mean, obviously we had the most talented teams, so I think that helps. But the fans were big. More than anything, I think it's a lot easier to play at home because you've always got that support. And our fans supported us, good, bad, otherwise. And we knew we had their support. So when you're out in the city, it makes it easy to be out in the city. They make you feel comfortable. And it made it a lot easier to play at home.
You got to ask an interesting question, and times have changed, because when you guys won in the 1980s, there were more fans on the ice than players. I think people were able to somehow get over the glass. The security's they were a little
more adventurous back then.
Little more adventurous. I mean, you got to win. I mean, 4 of this team's Stanley Cups were on home ice, and obviously the first one is the one a lot of people talk about. But do you have a moment you remember from one of those victories that really stands out?
There's great moments from every year. I mean, I think that's the fun part of it, is every time you win the cup, it's different, but it's the same. You get the same feeling from winning, but there's different moments along the way that you enjoy. And for us, we were lucky enough that we could share it with the fans. They were able to hop over the glass if they felt so impelled. So that always made it fun. I mean, I think it's a different era back then, where when you went out in town, you could sit and socialize with the fans, hang out with the fans, and I think that's part of why the city loved the team so much.
And Grant, what was it like coming back to this to Rexall Place as a visitor? How was that different for you?
It's different, but at the same time, it's still the same because the fans were very respectful. So, yeah, you had different colors on, different team, but it was still that same comfortable feeling coming back and playing here. It was a great building to play in. I mean, from a goalie's perspective, the lights were bright, the ice was good. It was an easy building to be comfortable in.